channels of the network. And we're live across America on this radio station or cable system and around the world at crntalk.com. Today's guest, Jeffrey Anderson, he is Executive Director of the 2017 project. And we're going to look at his article, Walker's Smart Play on Immigration. Mark Baird, Vice President, the Water Rights Group up in Northern California. And we're going to look at the fruits of big government and green fascism. That's what caused California's water drought. Oh, yeah. And in the second hour, Dr. Kevin Coach Collins, author of America Island, founder of the blog Coach is Right. His latest, including Hillary's money problems, are going to sink her. Also, we'll be talking about how apparently if you work for MSNBC, you don't have to pay income taxes. Did you know that? With all of the news going on, it seems like the most earth-shaking news is the fact that the drones killed 2 people and taken away a lot of coverage on immigration and Hillary. And I ran across a very interesting story filed by Ralph Peters. Let me give this to you. Hundreds of drone strikes so far this year from Syria to Pakistan. Hundreds of dead tourists, many of high rank. Thousands of lives saved. And what makes the headlines? 2 Western hostages killed in otherwise successful drone attack. Sorry, folks, that's war. And warfare will never be dainty or fully precise. We should be awed by the accuracy of our weaponry and the unprecedented reduction in the loss of innocent lives. Instead, we bitch because military operations, humanity's most complex and fought endeavor, aren't perfect. We may regret the loss of an American and an Italian aid worker, but they voluntarily place themselves in danger, and actions have consequences. We cannot cripple our counter-terror campaign on the bare chance that a hostage might be co-located with a master terrorist. The war fanatics have forced us upon a zero-sum game. We kill them or they kill us, and delay is defeat. Questions about the morality of the drone use are hogwash. All weapons are inherently immoral. But weapons in civilized hands are also essential if humans hope to live in some semblance of peace. Would those decrying drones prefer that is, old-fashioned carpet bombing? Drones aren't the silver bullet solution to terror, but as long as we refuse to bear our full military resources, drones form a high-tech line barely holding against impassioned evil. Want to ban or drastically limit drone use? Provide an alternative. Shall we grant our enemies freedom of action? Negotiations that quack cure beloved of intellectuals everywhere having a chance? We are besieged by human beasts who believe their gods want us to suffer and then die horribly. They're not interested in debating fine points of technology or discussing development programs. They want to kill us, and their madness has no reverse gear. Yet from the anomalous safety of our American lives, too many of us deny that evil exists, insisting that we ourselves must somehow share in the blame, and our enemies have legitimate grievances. We decry the use of drones as dehumanizing those who made the choice to succeed from humanity. And no one on the left seems to care that drones spare the lives of Americans in uniform. We've also been told that it's somehow unlawful to use drones to kill American citizens, waging violent jihad against America. But just as an NYPD officer has the duty to shoot a known murderer and American citizen about to kill again, so our government has the duty to kill anyone who's joined a foreign military movement, whose avowed and demonstrated purpose is killing Americans. The routine problem with those who deny the use of drones is they don't offer practical alternatives. Contrary to the blatter from the left that there's no military solution to global jihad, the cold fact is there's only a military solution, and it will take a great deal of time and bloodshed. 2 millennium of apocalyptic insurgencies around the world demonstrate without exception that killing faith fanatics is the only approach that works. And we're also victims of Hollywood syndrome. Action films lead those who've never served in uniform to believe in intelligence and in technology so perfect there's no excuse for collateral damage. But intelligence remains imperfect, while often brilliant enemies seek innovations to thwart it, and even with superb intelligence, weaponry still goes awry. War remains as brutal and sloppy as it's seductive to the lawless. It will remain so long after every reader is gone to the grave. Instead of wringing our hands and deploring our failures, we should be proud of the startling progress we've made. A bare generation ago, we would have had to bomb a village flat to get at a suspected terrorist leader. Today, we can kill him by striking not just a single house, but often a single room. The shouting match will continue, with inconvenience evidence ignored. But we're engaged in a war focused on us by monsters in human shapes. We agonize over the use of drones, while our opponents would gladly nuke our cities. The true immortality would be for us to lose. Great article. Ralph Peters, Fox News, strategist, analyst. Thank you. Well, the White House issued President Obama's annual statement to mark Friday's Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day, and as promised, there is no genocide to be found. In fact, the White House press release just called it Armenian Remembrance Day. It went on, this year we mark the centennial of the Medjugorje I mass atrocity of the 20th century. Beginning in 1915, Armenian people of the Ottoman Empire were deported, massacred, marched to their deaths. Their culture and heritage and their ancient homeland were erased amid horrific violence that saw suffering on all sides. You know, it's amazing how the Crusaders, the Christians, the suffering on all sides. And then an added note, 500,000 Armenians perished, Obama said. Armenian activists argued that the truth has not emerged from Obama's lips. He promised on the campaign trail 2008 that as President of the United States he would recognize the Armenian genocide. Well, this is the 7th year in a row that he's broke that promise. The promise he made to get the Armenian vote. Now, President Obama's amnesty by edict has always been about adding new Democrats to the voter rolls. And guess what? Recent action by the Department of Homeland Security now provides further proof. Sources at the Department of Homeland Security report to PJ Media that the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services is reallocating significant resources away from a computer system, the electronic immigration system, to send letters to all 9 million green card holders, urging them to naturalize prior to the 2016 election. This new effort from the Department of Homeland Security is Task Force on New Americans. And PJ Media obtained an internal Dear Colleague letter written by Leon Rodriguez. He's the director and co-chair of Task Force on New Americans. And the letter refers to a White House report called Strengthening Communities by Welcoming All Residents. Leon Rodriguez. Now, if he's on the President's Committee, let's see here. Got to have a great progressive resume that I call it, let's see. Here it is. Leon, he's got a tainted history. Not only was he a central player in the radicalization of Eric Holder's Civil Rights Division, he also undertook a purportedly illegal search of a government's employer community in Montgomery, Maryland. Okay, so listen, if you're one of those 9 million green card holders, be sure you vote conservative. Got that? What are the signs that your community has been secretly selected for an infusion of refugees from Muslim nations like Syria or Somalia or migrant workers from Central America? Well, the Obama White House released a report last week on the integration of immigrants and refugees that provides some clues. And if you're interested, it could be something as simple as a new billboard along the highway that'll be touting the contributions of diverse immigrant populations and refugees. Or maybe you're going to hear a radio spot or see a TV ad delivering the same type of message, diverse immigrant. Your city council may pass a proclamation. It'll be celebrating, welcoming the cultural diversity and economic benefits of refugees and other new Americans. Perhaps your local public library will start hosting story times that glorify the role of immigrants and the value of your diversity in your community. You may also see a new HUD-backed subsidized housing project rising from the ground. But the biggest sign that the new arrivals are on their way, and it's on their way to your hometown, will be the messaging sent out through local media and official government offices. Oh, by the way, we're going to be talking about water a little bit later on, and guess what? The people who want us to use less water in California are part of a system that could be among the biggest water wasters in San Francisco. It is the system that is hot water, and in hot water because of hot water. Now, after the water is heated up, the condensation water is then discharged into the sewer system, said Tyrone Jew of the San Francisco Public Utilities Commission. This is drinking water that's being used for a steam loop. Water is heated to make steam to heat the City Hall and 170 other nearby buildings. Yes, the system has been set up in the city for decades. It doesn't rely on fossil fuels or natural gas, see, so that makes sense. But times have changed. Water is a much more precious commodity now than in the 1930s when the steam heat seemed like a good idea. And let me see, the company runs the heating loops into 170 buildings, and now 65 million gallons of groundwater under BART is going into the sewer each year. Congratulations, San Francisco. Yes, sir. We're going to continue in just a moment.
For 20 years, you've counted on Lumber Liquidators for the quality flooring you want at the low price you deserve. So we've lowered prices on some of our best hardwood floors. Why pay over $3 for laminate at big box stores? We've got solid, pre-finished hardwood from 99 cents. Want bamboo? Don't pay $2.39 for laminate that looks like bamboo. We've got the real thing for $1.49, plus 10% off Morning Star bamboo. More deals from 49 cents and 24-month special financing for beautiful, safe, and high-quality hardwood floors for less. See the experts today. Visit lumberliquidators.com to find a store near you.
This report is brought to you by the National Association of School Nurses and Sanofi Pasteur. April 24th is World Meningitis Day, and Bob Werner, who lost his daughter Becky to meningococcal meningitis, is sharing his family's story in hopes of educating parents about preventing this potentially deadly disease.
In less than 24 hours, our lives changed forever. Our daughter Becky was taken from us by meningococcal meningitis. Although rare, that's how dangerous this disease can be. But it is preventable. The CDC recommends routine vaccination with the first dose of meningococcal vaccine at age 11 or 12 years, and a booster dose at age 16. Yet, according to CDC data, only about 30% of teens aged 13 to 17 have received the booster dose. So from our family to yours, we urge you to talk to your teen's healthcare provider to ensure they are up to date with their vaccinations.
For more information, visit www.voicesofmeningitis.org.
Have you ever considered adding a home security system but thought it would be too expensive? Here's the good news. There's never been a more affordable time to help protect your home, valuables, and your loved ones. You can now get a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home, your authorized ADT dealer, with the installation of a new ADT monitored system. Here's even better news. Your new system, worth $850, is free. You pay just a $99 installation charge and purchase monthly monitoring for less than $2 a day. Call Protect Your Home today at 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. Get the peace of mind that comes with owning an ADT monitored system, plus a $100 Visa card from Protect Your Home. Call now, 1-866-669-8954. That's 1-866-669-8954. 36-month monitoring contract required. General terms and conditions apply. Visit protectyourhome.com/terms.
Here on CRN, we'd like to keep you updated on what's happening in wine throughout the state of California. Napa, Sonoma, the Pacific Coast has great regions like the Central Coast area, Paso Robles, Santa Barbara, Temecula. Join our very own Larry Van Alst as he takes a look at what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report. It comes your way Wednesday evenings at 6 p.m. right here on CRN. Winemakers, superstars, wine growers, and more. With Larry Van Alst, what's cooking on wine, the Sonoma Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
Chuck Wilder, CRN, and let me tell you about my guest, Jeffrey H. Anderson. He is Executive Director of the 2017 project, which is working to advance a conservative reform agenda, including a winning alternative. You know, you never hear that word, alternative to Obamacare. Hey, Jeffrey, welcome to the show, sir. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you, Chuck. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing real good, and I'm going to tell you what really perks me up is whenever I hear that you guys, and you especially, working to get out the word that, yes, the conservatives do have an alternative to Obamacare. It's not just that we want to throw the baby out with the bathwater or whatever they call it, but we might talk about that another day. Right now, seems like Scott Walker, according to your report, says recent comments that he made suggesting that the United States policy on legal immigration should be focused on what's good for American workers. I love to hear that, too. Let the American citizen come first. This is so out of hand that, if you sneak across the border, all the rewards you're getting, if you come in here on visas, and everybody's put in front of the American worker. So Scott Walker's on the right direction. Tell the listeners about this report, his smart play on immigration.
Well, recently Scott Walker announced that he thinks that our emphasis when we establish immigration policy should be on focusing on what is actually good for everyday Americans, and that would seem to be a pretty non-controversial position to hold, but it seems to be a rather controversial one.
Yeah.
There's an awful lot of big business interests and liberals and open border types. It's a combination of forces who really don't want that to be the focus. They don't want the focus to be on the effects of immigration on Main Street, and I think it's a smart play by Governor Walker and the right policy. It's one of those moments when the right policy and winning politics, I think, go hand in hand, which is often the case.
Well, Jeffrey, the good news And for people like Scott Walker, who's taking this stand, is I think it was Rasmussen came out, where like 83% now, 83% say we don't want any more local, state government freebies going to people who are here illegally. They're hammering down. I mean, they're a little bit tired of these high unemployment numbers. And I don't know if you know, but in the news, a news story that just came out, I guess it was yesterday, that they have this thing called the Electronic Immigration System, and it's coming from the Department of Homeland Security. It's going to be run by a guy named Leon Rodriguez. And if you want to check it out later, it was filed by PJ Media, pjmedia.com, I think it is.
Okay.
And they are sending letters to all of the 9 million green card holders, urging them to naturalize prior to the 2016 election. It's all about getting the votes for the Democrats. And you know what? 9 million, even half of that, could really change an election. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that large swaths of the Republican Party seem to kind of want to play right into the Democrats' hands on this. But again, I think Walker is really striking the right chord here. I mean, it's been interesting for a while now that it sort of looked like pretty much everyone was going to be singing off the same sheet music in the Republican presidential primary when it comes to immigration, and kind of everybody taking the sort of pro-business, increase in immigration levels approach to one degree or another. And I had been speculating, as a number of others had been, would anybody break from this trend? Would anybody take the opportunity to say, look, we need immigration moderation. We need to have the focus be on the effect of immigration on everyday Americans. And Walker stepping out and doing this, I think, is quite a smart move. It helps to distinguish him from some of the
others who are still on the fence, so to speak.
Right.
And you know, the other guys, the progressives, the left, they want to make you feel, and they've been doing it forever, you know, oh, well, if you don't want to let them in, you know, you must not care for your fellow man, your fellow woman. There must be something wrong with you. And at least Scott Walker is saying, look, you know, I want to strengthen the border and look at this amnesty thing. You know, he's coming right out and saying it. Other people, well, nah. We got to take a break, Jeffrey, and when we come back, we'll talk about this mention you have in this article from Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin, about, all of this immigration. This is the way to boost the economy growth. And I'll let Jeffrey tell you about that one. It's Project, 2017, project.org. 2017project.org. That's the website. Be right back.
This is the Mike Huckabee Report for Friday. I'm Mike Huckabee. Who killed the electric car? The story next. Looking forward to your tax refund? Well, so are identity thieves who steal refunds by filing fraudulent tax returns. Last year alone, they stole more than an estimated $5 billion from hard-working Americans just like you. Once an identity thief gets a hold of your tax forms, watch out. They know that virtually all the information they need to steal your identity and even your life savings is right there. Help protect yourself with LifeLock Ultimate Plus. LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides protection for your Social Security number, bank accounts, investments, even the equity in your home. And while no one can stop all identity theft and nobody can monitor every single business, LifeLock Ultimate Plus provides their most comprehensive identity theft protection available. If you're filing taxes this year, especially if you're filing online, do what I did and get LifeLock Ultimate Plus. Visit lifelock.com/Huckabee now or call and use promo code Huckabee to save 10% on your LifeLock Ultimate Plus membership. Call 1-800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK, 800-240-LOCK. Get details on the Huckabee Exclusive at HuckabeeExclusive.com. President Obama vowed to put 1 million hybrids and electric cars on the road, but he forgot. Somebody had to buy them first. Hybrids and EVs seem to be the coming thing, but something unexpected happened. New drilling and auto technology made gas cheaper and gas-powered cars far more efficient. Since last Earth Day, sales of hybrids had dropped nearly 16%. According to Edmunds.com, so far this year, 22% of Americans who traded in a hybrid or EV replaced it with an SUV. Only 45% got a new hybrid or EV, a record low for owner loyalty. With today's gas prices, you'd have to drive a hybrid Camry for 10 years to make up the cost difference in fuel savings. That's why the government shouldn't try to pick winners in the marketplace. Like a Ferrari racing a Prius, private sector innovation will always leave bureaucrats in the dust. This week for Earth Day, President Obama declared the biggest threat facing the world was climate change. I don't want to get into a science debate, but most polls found that Americans rank that last of their concerns. They'd like to see the president instead concentrate on some of the things he actually promised to do when he was elected and reelected. For the majority of Americans, what they want most to see Obama tackle is getting the economy back on track. That means cutting the ridiculous spending and making sure this so-called recovery isn't just happening for Wall Street CEOs, but for people who lift heavy things for a living. And they want America to be safe and respected in the world again. But that would require a fundamental reboot in the way this White House looks at the world and America's place in it. We can't beat an enemy if we won't name them or even acknowledge what motivates them. For instance, everyone but the president will tell you that ISIS is a militant Islamic terrorist group. We also have to understand that you can't make nice with people who have a religious conviction to kill you. There's nothing to negotiate. They're the ones who have made it crystal clear the only options are that we kill them or they kill us. I apologize to any easily traumatized college students if those words sound blunt, even harsh, but reality often is. ISIS doesn't give out trigger warnings before they pull the trigger, and the sooner we accept the stark reality of what ISIS is and how they have to be dealt with, and we quit pretending that there's some way to ameliorate this deadly situation, the quicker we can defeat them. That's the only way to put the threat of ISIS behind us and get the rest of the Arab world, who are equally afraid of this kind of radicalism, to unite and crush this bug. Finally, Friday, May 1st will mark the final radio broadcast of the Huckabee Report, but I hope you'll continue keeping up with my daily commentaries, plus much more online at HuckabeeExclusive.com. And this is the Mike Huckabee Report.
Everybody's talking at me.
CRN Chuck Wilder, and just a reminder before I get back to my guest, we were talking about today is the anniversary of the Armenian genocide, the word that Obama won't use 7 years in a row after he got their vote and promised he would. Anyway, for those of you who are interested, CRN will be doing special 1-hour broadcast on the Armenian genocide with Mike Horn. That'll be 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time, I believe it is. Back to Jeffrey Anderson, Executive Director, 2017 Project, and that's 2017, the numbers, project.org. He also writes for the Weekly Standard. Let's talk about this Jennifer Rubin. What's her thing on this, thinking that the more you have, the better it is when we talk about immigration?
Yeah, well, she was critical of Walker coming out and saying that immigration policy should be focused on American workers, and said that immigrants do not take Americans' jobs, which they don't always. I mean, I don't think anybody would deny that immigration will increase the overall size of the economy. There will be some job growth as a result, but to claim that no immigrant has ever taken anyone's job is a pretty preposterous claim.
I'll tell you something, Jeffrey. If you're out of work and you're applying for a job, one of the first qualifications you'll find now is, do you speak Spanish? No, I'm not bilingual. Would you get in the back of the line? Kind of like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I just think that the focus. I think Walker's right to keep the focus on what is actually good for Americans. I mean, this really shouldn't be particularly controversial, and I think it's important that in this debate, somewhere it's been lost along the way. The perception is that is very different than the reality. I think the Census Bureau says that just a decade from now, the percentage of people in the United States who are immigrants, who are born in foreign lands, will be higher than at any time in the history of our country. I mean, that's an amazing stat that I don't think anybody or most people realize, that we'll have a higher percentage.
Well, I'll tell you
people
what, came out yesterday from the Center for Immigration Studies, Mark Kokorian, I believe it is, exactly what you're saying. The new figures came out yesterday, and you are absolutely right. First time in American history.
That'll be a decade from now, but still, the fact that we have a percentage of the nation that is immigrants that is rivaling what we had back, at the real heyday of immigration in the 19th century, and we'll surpass it before long. That we're not at any risk of becoming a nation that is shutting off its borders to immigrants, and that's certainly not anything that Scott Walker or anyone else is encouraging. But it'd be nice if we had a little bit of reflection on actual reality from people out in the States, and a little more focus maybe on levels of immigration that would encourage assimilation as well.
The thing that I don't think the average American, they're not getting the word. They get the word if they listen to this show and a few others. But, we right now bring in over 1 million people. They got 4 million standing in line legally, and this is more than all the other countries combined. That's how generous we are with the immigration problem. And Scott Walker, he's on the right mark, because it's not just are they over here taking jobs or whatever. All you have to really do is think about the fact that there were 19, all right, that got in here illegally, got driver's license, and brought down the Twin Towers, the Pentagon, the crash of 93. It's more serious than just, taking jobs, or like she says, it's good for the economy. A lot to think about. Secure the border, and he's on the right track.
Yeah, well, I think that's right, Chuck. And I think that Republican voters and voters across the political spectrum are probably going to be more likely to trust Walker on that he means it when he says we need to secure the border, that he means it when we say we need to enforce the rule of law on immigration, when he expresses willingness to look at immigration policy through that sort of lens, the lens that puts the American worker first and is willing to kind of buck the inside the Beltway orthodoxy on this.
I've always liked the guy, so I wish him a lot of luck. Hey, Jeffrey, we're all out of time. If people want to keep up with this, the best place to go is the 2017project.org. Is that right?
Yeah, www.2017project.org, and you can right up at the top, you can see our winning alternative to Obamacare.
Fantastic. We'll have to get you on talk about that someday. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you, Jeffrey Anderson, Executive Director, 2017 Project. Right now I want to go to Mark Baird. He is president of a water rights group in Northern California. It's called Scott Valley Protect Our Water. You're going to find out why that's a very important section of this whole situation that's going on in California. He is also the leading grassroots advocate and spokesperson for the state of Jefferson. Let me give you two websites. I want you to write them down. SOJ51.net. We'll explain all that. And JeffersonDeclaration.net. Hey, Mark, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm good, Chuck. Thanks for having me on.
When it comes to the California drought, and I've talked about it on the show before, it is a man-made disaster, and your headline, Mark, is Blame Liberalism, the Fruits of Big Government and Green Fascism. And Mark says the blistering drought that has Californians timing their showers, driving dirty cars, staring at brown lawns, emptying swimming pools, is a man-made disaster. Golden State's misguided environmental policies have allowed the much-needed fresh water to flow straight into the Pacific. How in the world do you just say, let that fresh water bypass California? It takes some crazy people, crazy thinking, and crazy politics, I guess, Mark. Bring us up to average. I mean, it's not like we don't get enough snow or rain, right?
No, I mean, droughts, when you look at the tree ring data from some of the 1985 studies, and we have big trees and old trees here in California, and those tree rings will date back, sometimes 2,000 years. droughts that last 50 years or more are common in the western United States. This is a semi-arid climate. But this is a drought of management. And if you want to know who's at fault, follow the money. Always follow the money. This is a drought of management by the governor of California and by his selected environmental groups and non-governmental agencies. And they're the ones that are the beneficiary of the money, saving the environment and supposedly mitigating this drought. But what they're really doing is allowing everyday human beings to suffer and their lives to decline. We're in a state of decline because of this agenda and this money.
Now we look at something that is so obvious, and it doesn't take a genius to figure it out. You say in your report, in an average year, California has enough snow and rain to put 200 million acres under a foot of water. All right? You got the possibility there, but then, you get people that start saying, well, we don't want you to save that water, blah, blah, blah. And you say, even as the state's population exploded to nearly 40 million people, just got through talking all about immigration and how it's coming in here, 40 million people, this current drought has left farms parched, residents under strict water consumption. But it didn't have to be that way. Who's this guy, Cohen, senior fellow with the National Center for Public Policy Research? Mm-hmm. He talks about, there's a history of these droughts. They should have known it was coming.
Yeah, like I said, we live in a semi-arid climate. This is normal. Mm-hmm. These are normal climatological conditions based on Pacific Ocean warming and so on. And that's a long discussion. But let me give you two examples of the man-made nature of this drought. This month in California, the California Bureau of Reclamation allowed 15,000 acre-feet of water to go from the Stanislaus River to the Pacific Ocean in order to protect, and I've seen two different figures, so I want to be fair to the state. One of them was 6, half a dozen, and the other one was 23 steelhead trout. They wanted to protect 23 steelhead trout, so they allowed enough water to go to the ocean to serve 175,000 people for 1 year. Out of Lewiston Dam, they plan to pulse the Trinity River. They call that pulsing because it supposedly scrubs the gravel bed and prepares the river for salmon spawning. That's a hoax, but that's another story too. But they're going to let 400,000 acre feet go to the ocean. That's enough water for 5 million people for 1 year.
Wow. 5 million people. Now, you mentioned the steelhead trout. There was another...
The steelhead trout was the BOR thing out of the Stanislaus. They're trying to protect the fall run of Chinook salmon or something out of the Trinity River.
Right. Now, there was an article that came along with the stuff that I had on you, Malia Zimmerman, I think it is, and she was saying right now 70% of California rainfall washes out to the sea because the liberals have prevented the construction of a single new reservoir or a single new water conveyance system over decades, including that time period when our population doubled. Now, releasing the water, all right, and this is what you were talking about, supposed to save the endangered fish pollution. A lot of people, and I say the majority, have probably heard about the Delta smelt. Then we got the long fin smelt, the Chinook salmon, the steelhead you mentioned, green and white sturgeon, and there were just six Delta smelt. Can that be a misprint, Mark?
No, it was 6 steelhead trout, which, by the way, is not an endangered species. And I read another report that said there were 23 of them. But nevertheless, the water that serves 175,000 people for 1 year, for gosh sakes, let's buy the fish a helicopter and fly them to the ocean and give the water to the people that need it. Your listeners need to understand one thing very thoroughly. Water and affordable energy are necessary for human existence and human endeavor. I want everyone to look at their dinner plate once a day. Someone grew that food. It took water to grow it. It took labor. It took capital risk and capital expenditure. And without the 25% of the food this state grows for the nation, food everywhere is going to become more expensive. In fact, it already is. Look at the chicken law. The price of eggs has almost doubled because of the lunacy of the chicken law passed through the California legislature, and we wonder why 1.4 million productive people left this state last year, along with 6,500 businesses.
You know, you want some shocking statistics here, listener. California, the state has more than 80,000 farm and ranches, which generate more than $44 billion in annual sales. California produces more than 250 crops, leads the U.S. in production with 75 commodities. It's the only state to produce 12 key crops, and they mention them: almonds, dates, fig, raisins. It goes on and on and on. Walnuts. They say that right now there's going to be between 400,000 acres and 500,000 acres of crops are going to be lost because of this man-made drought. And there, I want to point some fingers. Is it Dianne Feinstein? Was that the lady that, Democrats, liberals. The U.S. House of Representatives passed legislation in 2013 and 2014. This was where they were trying to get more dams, save the water. But Senators Barbara Boxer, Dianne Feinstein, both Democrats from California, refused to sign on to this plan. And you know where the plan came from? The Republicans. Talk about bias. And then, of course, you've got the environmentalists. I guess that's the biggest problem. Hard-headed liberals and environmentalists taking control, Mark.
Well, once again, Chuck, this isn't about the fish. It really isn't. And I keep reminding people in our group all the time, be very careful. This has nothing to do with fish. It has nothing to do with the environment. This is about power, money, and control. Because when you control the water, you control the land. And when you control the land, you control the people on the land. And that's a very important distinction. This has nothing to do with the environment. This is about government overreach and government control. And when you look at the government of California, they are now, because of this environmental flag that they wave, literally taxing you for every breath you take. They're getting ready to tax you for every single mile you drive.
You know, Mark, now you, let me find this here. You're the Water Rights Group Northern California, Scott Valley. Is that anywhere near the Klamath River? Because I see that Victor Davis Hanson, been on the show before with the Hoover Institute. He starts talking about these different areas. Where's your area at that you're representing up there in Northern California?
Yes, Scott. The Scott River is part of the Klamath River watershed, and that's how we first became involved in this, because the governor of California, with his water bond, a $7 billion water bond that's going to cost the taxpayers of California $360 million a year for 40 years, and guess how much water storage is going to be built out of that? And in addition to that, there's $500 million in that bond to rip out 4 perfectly maintained, fully functional hydroelectric dams that supply the cleanest, greenest power in the world to 70,000 homes.
Did you just say they're going to rip out 4?
Oh, yeah. Dam removal is the greatest environmental scam of the century.
Wow.
They claim that dams impede fish passage. Now, here's the bill of goods the governor is trying to tell people.
Hang on one second, Mark, and I'm going to let you deliver the bill of goods when we come back after this quick break. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. 4 dams taken out. It's amazing how these people are so corrupted. Mark Baird, President, Water Rights Group, Northern California. It's SOJ51.net. Also JeffersonDeclaration.net. Oh, the bill of goods coming up next.
When you really want Italian food, you've got to go to Columbo's. Columbo's Italian Steakhouse and Jazz Club, Colorado Boulevard, Eagle Rock. Is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you? It's springtime in the Southland, and the yucca filamatusa are in bloom, and so is the hunger and thirst for good times. Palate-pleasing, mouth-watering steaks, yes! Neptune's gifts of the freshest fish direct from the seven seas, oh yes! Columbo's delectable Italian family specialties that shame the competition, yes! Jazz every night, check! All at such reasonable prices, yes, yes, yes! And might I add one more yes? Thank you. Let us not forget their award-winning meatballs, oh yes! Columbo's. It's more than the stuff of urban legend. It is that good. Columbo's, because it really is that little neighborhood place you wish was down the street from you. Columbo's. Yes. Manja.
What are you going to do with your old car? You can try selling it, you could junk it, or you could donate it to Heritage for the Blind. Your car will be towed away for free, and your donation is tax deductible. Just call 1-800-785-9618. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats. It doesn't matter if your vehicle runs or not. It will be towed away for free, and you'll be supporting those that need help. Heritage for the Blind is a nonprofit organization that helps the visually impaired live fuller lives. Call right now to donate your car, and as a special thank you for calling, you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to many exciting locations. Call Heritage for the Blind right now, 1-800-785-9618. Donating is easy, and your vehicle is towed away for free. Plus, you'll get a free vacation voucher. Call now, 1-800-785-9618. That's 1-800-785-9618.
Geico Motorcycle presents Reflections from the Road.
Let me tell you, the road is a much more relaxing place since I switched to Geico Motorcycle Insurance and started saving money. With that taken care of, now I can think about deep, important things. Like how come it's a pair of pants when there's only one of them? A real brain teaser. But hey, at least saving money with Geico Motorcycle is as easy as pie. What does that mean anyway?
Geico Motorcycle Insurance. See how much you could save.
Hi, I'm Dr. Parthenia Grant. Tune into my show, Divine Love Talk, where you will learn secrets to longevity and health, ways to move into oneness, discover powerful tools to gain victory over self-sabotage, and get enlightened about relationships. So tune in to CRN for Divine Love Talk right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
So tune in to CRN1 for Divine Love Talk, Mondays, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, right here on CRN Digital Talk Radio.
Everybody's talking at me.
I guess Mark Baird. We're talking about his report, California's Water Drought, the Fruits of Big Government, Green Fascism. And I mentioned the Klamath River a while ago, and that project was canceled in the 1970s, and it put an end to the Ah Pa Reservoir, the state's largest man-made reservoir. It was 15 million acre-feet of water, and it was going to be enough to supply San Francisco for 30 years. Mark, continue with your cheerful news, would you?
Well, there is some cheer to it because we are exposing the truth, and if people wake up, we the people can stop this. But in the Klamath Basin, they have a group that wants to rip out 4 perfectly good dams on the Klamath River, and here's the bill of goods they're selling. Now, mind you, there's $2 billion involved in this project, and it's going to go to all the special interest groups that sign on to pull these dams out, and all of them are going to get their share of the loot. Quite frankly, they couldn't care less about the dams. One of the groups, in a public meeting which I was attending, their chairman said, "We don't care about the fish, we just want our share of the money." Wow. Now, that's how this works with environmental groups. They couldn't care less about the environment, they want their share of the money. But these 4 dams being removed will supposedly save the coho salmon in the Klamath River. Well, I've got the fish counts going back 114 years, and I've got to tell you, there were never more or less than a few hundred to 1,000 coho salmon in the Klamath River going all the way back to 1917. And so pulling out these dams is going to do nothing for the coho salmon, but it will enrich all of the people involved, and it will ruin property values and ruin farming for thousands and tens of thousands of people that have to live in this area.
Do they have a bigger army than you, Mark? I ask.
They do, Chuck, and it's called the Almighty Buck and the state of California's legislature. Let me give you an example of that. There was a Los Angeles state senator, and by the way, the reason we want to separate from California is because the northern third of California has 6 state-level representatives, and the southern two-thirds has 114.
Wow.
So there was a Los Angeles senator who proposed a bill to okay an off-reservation gambling facility in my county seat, Wairika, California, in spite of the fact that in a general initiative, 80% of the people in my county said no to this gambling facility. We don't want gambling in our community, and we don't need it. We already have plenty of crime. But this guy gets up on the Senate floor, and he says, well, I think we'd just go ahead and get this bill because really nobody's against it. And what he meant was no one that can pay is against it.
Yeah. Was that the one they actually had to move off of a reservation, got some kind of special permission, where it's not really even on a Indian reservation?
This one is not on an Indian reservation.
Right.
In fact, this tribe doesn't even have a reservation. They want to build this casino in town so they can rake in the money. And, oh, by the way, this particular tribe, and I'm not saying the tribes people are bad people. In fact, I know them, some of them very well. They're my friends. They're my neighbors. But their tribal council is out for the loot, and they can get it. Because they were the ones that sued over the spotted owl and stopped logging in Siskiyou County. They were the ones that sued and stopped small suction dredge mining in the Klamath River, and they're a party to the agreement to rip out 4 of the dams.
And they were totally wrong on that one, too, the spotted owl. Boy, I'm telling you, I bet you walk into that casino, Mark, and they'll have salmon on the menu. They won't
never
care one way or the other.
Casino, but yeah, you're right. In fact, you can buy coho salmon in the store in Medford, Oregon. So I don't know how much danger they're in.
Hey, Mark, all out of time. What can the people do to help you? Got about 20 seconds.
I'll tell you, they can contact their legislators. They can go to our website, soj51.net. Contribute if you can. Be vocal. Take part in your liberty, folks, because it's going away if you don't.
SOJ, as in jilted again. SOJ51.net. Thank you, Mark. We'll do this again.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it.
Coming up next, Dr. Kevin Coach Collins, author of America Island. He's got a lot of things on his plate. I'm going to let him rock and roll with it. Don't go away.
CRN Digital Talk Radio prides itself on being the station of every situation. Of course, you can always listen live through your local cable TV provider, as well as on our website at crntalk.com. But if cutting-edge technology is more your style, you'll be happy to know that CRN is now available on Wi-Fi radio. Simply log on to Reciva.com. That's RECIVA.com and look for CRN. You can access all of our great shows and listen live anywhere in the world. Be part of your favorite shows and get the full CRN listening experience you would have with any traditional radio, podcast, or a live stream from our website. For more information on where or how to listen, and for a full list of our programming, log on to crntalk.com and create your own listening experience today.
The radio channel.
SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. Baltimore's mayor calls the death of Freddie Gray a horribly tragic incident and vows to get to the bottom of it. Gray died a week after being critically injured while in police custody. Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake.
I recognize that there's frustration over this investigation, but I want to be clear. There is a process, and we have to respect that process.
If there was foul play, Rawlings-Blake vows to punish the guilty parties. More demonstrations planned tomorrow in Baltimore. Gray's funeral is Monday. All is well on Liberty Island. A telephone bomb threat prompted evacuation of the Statue of Liberty and the 14-acre island this afternoon. The NYPD bomb squad moved in, conducting a thorough sweep before giving the all clear, allowing hundreds of visitors to make the short ferry ride back to the island. Outgoing Attorney General Eric Holder delivers his farewell address to Justice Department employees.
Thank you for your support over the past 6 years.
His successor, Loretta Lynch, to be sworn in on Monday. Also at SRNnews.com, one California Republican wants to reward the children of illegal immigrants if they serve honorably in the U.S. military.
Congressman Jeff Denham's Enlist Act would grant permanent residency status to children of illegal immigrants who serve in the U.S. military. Denham says the measure would help the military with needed recruits.
And an opportunity for those kids that know of no other country to call home to actually pledge allegiance and be patriots of this great nation.
Denham represents a district with a large number of immigrants. It's not the first time he's sought action on this measure.
SRN's Wally Hines on Capitol Hill. On Wall Street, the Dow closes up 22 points to 18,000.